Give me your perspective on this team and how they continue to evolve.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, man. This team right now, to me, is as dangerous as anybody in the NFL. And the reason for that is because they are just young enough and just brash enough to really believe that they can play with anybody. And when you have success like this, a team that hasn't experienced this kind of success prior, it kind of takes on a life of its own. And every time they step on the field, and they have a lot of young players, but every time they step on the field, they really believe that they are physically dominant, that they are just better than the people that they're playing. And that's a dangerous combination, especially with a quarterback like Marcus Mariota, who is really just starting to learn how to play the position. And, this is a team that, to me, there really is no weakness on this Tennessee Titans team other than maybe lacking a couple of explosive players in the passing game on the outside. They're very physical up front running the football. They run it as well as anybody in the NFL. They've got the young quarterback we talked about. They've got two great running backs in DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, who are both equally as effective in the running game. And then defensively, Dick LeBeau, arguably the greatest defensive coach of all time, or one of the greatest, has really got this team playing aggressive, confident, flying all over the football field defense, and they're always very well coached. They don't get pushed around by anybody, and they just really are assignment sound. They don't make any mistakes. So if you're going to score or move the ball against them consistently, you've got to execute at a very high level.
It's amazing.
So, I think it's a very good football team who's peaking at the right time, and I believe they're going to win this AFC South.
Yeah, and the schedule sets up for them at Jacksonville, and then they take on the Texans at home. And as you point out, they're built from the inside out. They'll worry about guys outside the numbers probably in this year's NFL draft, this year's free agency. But outstanding line that was reworked over the past couple of years, and then they loaded up the backfield. And, of course, they got themselves a quarterback in his second year. All right, let's go to the other side. You're a former quarterback and a really good one. You see the game differently. You cover on NFL Monday quarterback here on CBS Sports Network, the position differently than anybody else. Is Blake Bortles fixable?
Yes, he is. I believe that he is, and I say that with confidence. I believe that, and we talked to Doug Marrone this morning, the interim head coach for the Jaguars, replacing Gus Bradley this week. And forget about all that stuff. Doug Marrone he almost kind of bowed up on us a little bit when you question the ability of Blake Bortles to play quarterback at this level. He said, I don't think people pay enough attention to what this kid has been through. He's on his third offensive coordinator. He's had the crap beat out of him as much, if not more so, than any other quarterback in NFL over the course of his career. He's been learning how to play the position with a very inexperienced offensive line, inexperienced receivers, system changes. He said that you can't dispute the fact that he has some fundamental issues that need to be addressed, but he's got a lot of things you can't coach, and I agree with this 100%. He's got toughness. He's got mental toughness and physical toughness. He doesn't get down. He keeps on plugging. He keeps coming to work every day. He deals with the demands of being a quarterback in a very difficult situation, as well as anybody that possibly named with it with his chin up. He takes everything on, right square on, and deals with the issues, puts it on his shoulders. He knows he's got to play better, but physically, I believe this guy, with the right kind of coaching and stability in the organization, he's going to make the jump. I mean, the guy threw 36 touchdown passes last year. Over the last 2 years, he's thrown as many, or he's in the top 3 in the number of touchdown passes he's thrown, or anyone's thrown in the NFL. So my point is that the guy has a lot of very unique abilities. He's big, he's strong, he's mobile. He can make all the throws. It's just a matter of whether he can get consistent week in and week out and not make those bonehead plays at the key points of ball games that lose ball games. And I think he can be that guy with stability. And I think there's a lot of teams around the NFL that look at him and say, if this guy does become available, we would love to have a chance to bring him in and let him learn and develop over the course of the next few years, because he's got great potential.
Steve Beuerlein, CBS NFL analyst, joining us. Doug Gottlieb Show, CBS Sports Radio. Remember, the games are tomorrow. Now, tomorrow on CBS, including the Tennessee-Jacksonville game that Steve's on the call for. But I take you all the way to Monday night when the Dallas Cowboys welcome in the Detroit Lions. Last night, because the Giants lost on the road to Philadelphia, the Cowboys clinched home field advantage throughout in the NFC. If you're Jason Garrett, or if Jason Garrett, picks up the phone and calls Steve Beuerlein, quarterback to quarterback, and says, what do I do here? I got 2 weeks left. I feel like I got to get Romo out there just in case Dak gets hurt or just in case Dak isn't that good. How do you handle the Romo thing, considering he hadn't thrown a pass since that 3 or 4 plays in exhibition season, and he is the backup heading in the playoffs that they've already clinched home field for?
Yeah, that's a great question, Doug. And I think the problem is that publicly people don't understand in general that a guy like Tony Romo, he's played so much quarterback over the course of his career. And the team is so used to him being around and being the presence that he is, that he doesn't need the game reps, I don't think, like a young quarterback does. As long as he's taking care of himself physically, in the training room, in the weight room, getting his conditioning in, throwing all the passes he needs to throw on a weekly basis in practice, he'll be able to step in the huddle and play at a high level. I don't think Jason Garrett feels the pressure to need to get him out there on the field for security from that standpoint. I think he's a guy that's going to step in and pick up where he left off if he's physically capable of doing it. And I would really see no reason other than just to preserve maybe something bad happening to Dak Prescott in the last couple of weeks. I don't see Tony Romo getting on the football field, for any significant period of time.
Steve Beuerlein joining us in the Doug Gottlieb Show here on CBS Sports Radio. You've covered the AFC a ton. Help me out with the AFC West. I mean, I guess I'm supposed to like Kansas City based upon their schedule, getting Denver at home. But there's something about that team. Maybe it's the Tennessee game that I know you've watched and broken down, getting ready for this Tennessee-Jacksonville game. There's something which I'm just not willing to buy into. What's your perspective on the AFC West?
If I had more confidence in Alex Smith, not as a quarterback in the NFL, but as a guy that could make plays in the passing game down the field, I would say there's no doubt in my mind that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best football team, the most equipped to come out of that AFC West. I do think they'll take care of business against Denver at home because I think Denver just doesn't have enough offensively. But I'm not sold on the passing game of the Kansas City Chiefs outside of Travis Kelce and a few plays by Tyreek Hill every once in a while. And then they'll use Jerry Maclin once in a while, but they do not have enough explosive plays in that passing game, I believe, to really push this thing all the way to the limit and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm just not convinced they can do it.
Right, and I think that's kind of how we all feel, like we just can't buy in. All right, so you want to be bought in on the Patriots, only they've sustained so many injuries, and then it almost feels picking up Michael Floyd almost feels like an unneeded risk. He hasn't had a good year. He just had a DUI, and you pick him up. It's almost as if the Patriots themselves are telling us they don't like what they have outside the numbers. Do they have enough, along with Tom Brady, to get over that threshold to get to the Super Bowl?
It's hard to believe, but I believe just because of Tom Brady, and we all can kind of be, I think, hypnotized by the magic that he brings every time he steps on the field. It doesn't matter who you put on the field there beside him. He steps up week in and week out with whoever is available to him. And I think because of that, Floyd could be a difference maker down the stretch. He's got the physical ability to make plays on the outside and give them another option out there. And I think with Tom Brady, with Josh McDaniel, the way they can integrate new people into it, they'll put a package together where he will be, I think, impactful down the stretch, especially through the playoffs. And I have a hard time picking anybody over them because of how consistently they've stepped up during the course of this year, even with limited, resources in terms of Gronk and Danny Amendola. These are guys that most teams would have a hard time recovering from. But with Tom Brady, I don't think you put anybody ahead of them. I think they're still the big dog on the street, and until somebody proves otherwise, there's no reason to believe it's going to work out any differently.